What's Boca saying today? Well, we always have new readers and new viewers with BocaWatch. We thought we'd give you a chance to hear right from the horse's mouth what's happening, what we've accomplished, and what we look forward to. With us today is founder Al Zuccaro. Al, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you very much. And let me first tell you that you have become an incredible interviewer. And I thank you for doing that from BocaWatch, from its readership, and from all of the things that we are attempting to do. You've really added a dimension to us. And now that we're through with the Mutual Admiration Society, let's chat.
Let's chat. There's always something new. You know, we think we have deadlines met and news stories will change. What do you think of the top issues right now that we're looking for towards the end of the year?
Well, you know, it's very interesting. The conversations and the challenges that we faced at the beginning of this year have really evolved into a whole new set of challenges and things that we will face as the year comes to an end and the new year starts. But there is a remarkable change of mood. And the change of mood is, it used to be that nobody was paying attention to the resident. Nobody was giving the resident their due. That, in fact, is the whole premise for how BocaWatch got started from the beginning. There was a very deep resentment on the part of the resident that all of this was going around them and their quality of life. And it was not something that they were participating in. It was sort of this bubble with the elected officials and the developer community that was driving the ship. And that has resounding impacts.
Right. We did feel powerless, but not so much anymore.
BocaWatch is very enthusiastic about continuing to engage in the public debate at the public microphone. But the sense of resident friendly has taken shape, and it's taken shape in Boca Raton in a big way. It took shape. We were very fortunate in March of last year to elect someone, Andrea O'Rourke, who is a resident friendly candidate, and that has changed the conversation significantly. And the others want to be resident friendly. In fact, it was interesting a few weeks ago to listen to the conversation on the dais. Two of the other four people used the phrase resident friendly as if it was attached to their name. Well, at this point in time, I don't believe that it's attached to anyone's name except Andrea, and she's driving the conversation further and further into the perspective of what is it that you're there for. You're there to represent the residents, and you're not doing that.
You know, just getting back to a point that you made about City Council has to communicate with the school board, with the county commission. Do you think that's an area that BocaWatch will branch off into, you know, doing stories relating to this mutual relationship and how to make it stronger?
Well, BocaWatch has been from the beginning about sustained responsible growth. And I, as the publisher of BocaWatch, my major premise is that of good governance. We need good governance. Now, good governance means that you interact. I don't care about my elected officials being at the next social event or being at, you know, glad handing and cocktail parties. That's not what it's about. So I'm going to encourage our readers, our volunteers, to not only take the position in city government, but I think that it has to be asked and answered not only by the city government or our city council. It has to be asked and answered of the school board in the public arena in front of the cameras so that all can see. Okay? Until that begins to happen, until we force the issue into the open air, until that discussion begins to take place, the developers will continue to develop. All the local governments will enjoy the increased tax base, and all the people will have a diminished quality of life. Unacceptable. Simply unacceptable.
You mentioned tax base. It seems very important to keep the taxes low in Boca Raton. And do you think that's nobody likes to spend more than they have to, but how do you feel about that?
There is a large landowner in town that over the years, every conversation that I've had with him about quality of life and about improving things is all about his taxes. I don't want to pay more taxes. Well, that kind of attitude is what's driven the elected officials for years in terms of keeping the tax rate as low as possible, but foregoing the quality of life questions that the average resident is saying.
That's
Now,
interesting.
to the average resident, if you raised the taxes a small portion with a defined benefit or a defined objective to be the average person's not going to complain that much. The people that are going to complain are the large developers and the commercial institutions because they're going to have a little bit more of a tax hit. Well, Boca Raton is the premier city of the county. It is globally recognized. It is an attraction that bar none everybody should have. And the people have put us on the path of greater quality of life questions. All of the issues that are going on with parks and recreation, that's going to cost some money. Where's that money going to come from? Improving the roadways and burying the wires and encouraging responsible growth. All of that's going to take energy, it's going to take money, and it needs to come from someplace. So do I oppose the notion of considering a tax increase or a millage rate increase? I don't oppose that at all. Okay? It needs to be responsible. It needs to be measured. It needs to have set objectives. But from the average citizen's point of view, it's a minor hit. And I don't have a whole lot of love lost for the developer community because they've gone to the bank with 2 loaves of bread under each arm for many, many years now. They've got extremely wealthy, and they have taken away some of the charm that this city should have.
Right. And I think if the residents were given the opportunity to slow down the growth rate, have a less of a traffic issue and just spend a little bit more in taxes, I don't think it would be that much of a hardship to make that decision.
Well, I agree. I think the residents would support the notion of increasing the quality of life, even if you have to increase taxes to some degree. Why? Well, there are a number of examples that we've seen recently. Again, I make the reference to the parks and recreation situation. But the issue of the schools, if you follow Jack McWalter's stuff, Jack tells us that there are a dozen or so new projects in the pipeline that are going to increase the residential units in the city of Boca Raton by thousands over the next 3 to 5 years. Well, there has been no planning over the last decade for this increase. There is a propensity to love the tax dollars that are generated from new projects. But now we've got school board members like Mr. Barbieri and council members like Mr. Singer extending the idea of taking parkland to solve a problem that was created because there was no planning in the past. So, yes, I think that there are a number of things that can be done to slow down development until the infrastructure issues are advanced. Another example was Midtown. The Planning and Zoning Board did an incredible thing a few weeks ago.
Right.
Okay? They said, until there is an approval for a tri-rail station, until it's actually up and functioning, you can only move forward to the number of 600 units. Okay? They're asking for 2,500 units on the IFCOM. Okay? Baloney, that's the developer getting rich. You give them that entitlement, they probably never build. They just flip it to some REIT somewhere and somebody else comes and builds, but they've made fortunes. Meanwhile, quality of life is diminished every time we do it. So thousands and thousands of apartments coming online, no pre-planning for how to absorb that at the school board level or even at the road level or the sewers and water and all of that stuff. We don't see any of that in the debate. We get city staff that takes the microphone, regurgitates what they wrote, and says we approve or disapprove. That doesn't address the impacts. So Jack is right when he talks about thousands of units coming on board, and let's limit my comment to the school board. The school board and the city council have done nothing to address the impacts that that's going to have on the students of Boca Raton and Palm Beach and Southern Palm Beach County.
So real briefly, speaking about the city council, will BocaWatch be making any recommendations as far as elections coming up in March of 2018?
Our editorial group will come together and we will make a decision as to who we are supporting. But let me suggest to you this. There isn't a snowball's chance in hell that a candidate who is not resident friendly is going to get BocaWatch's endorsement. And the candidates that come forward need to demonstrate why they're resident friendly. They can't simply take the title and say I'm resident friendly. Well, why?
Right.
What have you done to
Does the
support
record
that?
support that?
Okay, or what do you intend to do? And there have been times in the past when we have had candidates come and tell us they're going to do a lot of stuff for the residents, and then the moment they get elected, they become the developer's horse to move things forward. Unacceptable. So the bottom line is, yes, we will be making endorsements, probably do it right after the beginning of the year, after the qualifying period is over, because there's no point in making an endorsement before the qualifying period is over because you don't
Right.
know who's actually running.
Right.
And there are way too many rumors on the streets as to who's going to be running for what.
Okay. Well, thank you, Al. It's been really good chatting with you. We've had an exciting year and look forward to another exciting year ahead.
Well, I just want to say one more thing.
Sure.
I want to thank the residents for stepping up. Okay, I said in one of the articles that I wrote in the last couple of weeks that for residents to get involved, for the pushback that they have had to commit their time, their energy, and their treasure in order to make their voice heard. Thank you very much. The fact is that we have made our voice heard, and the bottom line is that your vote is your voice, so vote in March of 2018.
Very important message. That's it for today, folks. Thank you for watching. And as always, we encourage you to stay informed, stay involved, and keep your comments coming into BocaWatch.org.